Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be back with you guys, and thank you for joining us. This week, we are looking at one of the foods that's actually been kind of controversial with low histamine foods lists, and it's olive oil. And so sometimes olive oil is listed as high histamine, sometimes it's low histamine. And there's a lot of good reasons why for both sides of that. We're going to dive into that and we're going to dive into all kinds of pieces about olive oil and how do you find one that's actually truly the lowest histamine option and the healthiest options. I'm really excited to have Tony Kasandrinos with us, and Tony is a olive oil expert. And again, for those of us who are just joining, Tony's going to help us uncover what we need to know about olive oil. I've been trying to dig into some of this for 3 years and doing 3 years of research. Tony just in 10 minutes that we were talking before we came on live gave me even more information that I hadn't come across and didn't know. So I'm so excited about this interview. I think you guys will love it. And just want to briefly, before we jump in, say that it's actually Tony's birthday today. So happy birthday, Tony.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on your birthday. And can you tell our audience just a little about how you got into this? Like, how did you get into olive oil and knowing what you do about olive oil? And I know you run a small olive oil company that has just truly the best quality I've found out of the dozens and dozens that I've tried.
Yep. Well, it was totally by mistake, for one. I was never really intending on starting a company. I was actually on active duty in the Marine Corps at the time. And we've just always had olive oil in our family. Most Greek people do their own olives. I'm first generation here in America, and we spend most of our childhoods, my sister and I, in Greece. And it's just something that was always around, and we always had our own olive oil in the house. And
oh wow! So you had your own trees, and then you
we have our own land in Greece.
That's kind of like I grew up in the country, and we agreed.
Yeah, it's been in our family for generations. But living here in America and going through high school and then off to the military as soon as I graduated, I really never looked at the business side of it or. Just something we always had in our house, and we always had lots of it, and that's all we really cooked with and used. So about halfway through my military career, I was training at a CrossFit in Philly, and my dad would always bring over a few pallets of the olive oil with his old.
A few pallets? You say that like you brought it in a suitcase.
Oh no, pallets! Like he'd ship it over.
Yeah, I think a pallet is a lot of olive oil.
Oh yeah, no, it is. It's a few thousand bottles, but he owned a restaurant, a little Greek diner in upstate New York, and he would sell them to customers. So it wasn't like it was just like a little thing. He would sell our family olive oil at the restaurant, and my uncle did as well. So I'd always have like a case on me at all times, and my friends who own the CrossFit gym, they were having a birthday party one time, and there was in the gym, and we had a huge spread, and there was a big thing of salad and a really not so great bottle of olive oil on the table. So I told my friend Aaron, I was like, let me bring some of mine. I got some in the trunk right now. I'll go grab some. And I just put it on the table, and everybody kept like asking me like, oh, can I get some of this? So long story short, I was basically driving back up to Rochester. I was stationed in Philly at the time, and I would bring it back to the gym. It was literally my business was born in a CrossFit gym. And I would basically give bottles to my friends, and then I started selling them because it got to be a lot of bottles.
Yeah.
So then I moved to Texas. I got stationed down there, and I started a website so my friends can just buy the olive oil from me and I'd ship it to them. But it kind of snowballed and turned into like, okay, maybe I should start a business, even though I didn't have a lot of time because I was, waking up at 5 every day and getting home around 4 or 5 in the evening. So about 6 months into like slowly growing it as a little side hustle, essentially, I talked to my sister and I was like, hey, do you want to start a business with me? And She said yes. And that's when we decided to come out with our own private label, and we were trying to think of a name and we couldn't. So we're like, well, let's just use our last name. It'll always make sure that, like, integrity wise, that's going to always be at the forefront. And yeah, 6-7 years later, here we are.
When you learned a lot about olive oil, and so you're a bit of an olive oil expert.
Yep.
And that's some of what I wanted to get into, and really wanted to interview you because you guys have that integrity, which is hard to find. And that's where, as I was looking at different olive oils and trying different things as a consumer, it was so confusing. And I kind of figured out, sometimes what's labeled as olive oil is not actually olive oil. It's different kinds of oils. And I was noticing that I did better with some, most of our community knows, but if anybody's new, I was really, really ill with mast cell activation syndrome and mold toxicity. I was bedridden, and I got down to like 10 foods. And that's all I could tolerate. But olive oil was something, if it was the good quality, the right olive oil, I could handle it. But I never could do what they had at a restaurant. I actually still bring my little container of olive oil in my purse when I go to a restaurant. I'm going to have a salad.
Yeah.
Because I just, like, if it's sat on that table in that clear glass bottle, it tastes awful to me. But I fell in love with olive oil because I remember being at, it was actually a macaroni grill, but it was the first time. I was like 19, in college. And growing up, we always just had just whatever you grab off the grocery store shelf or the store brand or whatever, olive oil. And it was just kind of like, it was used like canola oil. And it didn't taste that great. But then I had like flavorful olive oil. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, this is so different.
Yep.
And so I've been on this, and I'm a foodie, so I've been on this olive oil journey. But going back to it being so confusing as a consumer, can you help shed some light on, like, what is happening? What is going on in the olive oil world? Why is this going on? Because and maybe I'm naive, I like to think that we have good labeling laws here in the United States around food, but it sounds like we don't. And so there's this issue around is it even olive oil? And how old is it? And is it, if it says organic, is it really organic?
Yep. No, it's a multifaceted thing, just like the entire food industry. It's in the olive oil world, in my opinion, it's almost every food industry we've just become so detached from where the food really comes from, and knowing how that process works. Even if it's like fishing, how does fishing happen? How are chickens raised? Most of the chicken we eat in America, like, people saw how it was raised. And then,
I grew up in the country, so I saw. Yeah.
But so when it comes to olive oil, knowing what I know and having been in the industry, kind of since birth, and seeing how it actually happens, and there's right ways and wrong ways. And it really starts from the beginning. When you plant an olive tree, how do you treat it from the beginning? Like, how often do you water it? What kind of water are you using on the trees themselves? But the actual harvesting process.
You mean, like, you just said something important. What kind of water do you mean? Like, is that purified water versus is that water from, that has chemicals in it? Or?
That is a big thing. Where is the water coming from? And the water that is being used, is it coming from an area that has been sprayed very heavily with pesticides? Because whatever's getting into that water is getting into the root system of whatever is being grown. And if you ever see an olive on a tree, it's a porous little fruit, so any of this, if they're being sprayed with chemicals, or even if there's organic trees that have fruits next to them and they're being sprayed, it's getting, basically, it goes inside the olive. So now
I just wanted to check something, because this might be some new information. If something is organic, certified organic, can they use water that's full of pesticides on that plant that is going to draw that in, even if So they may not be spraying it with pesticides, but can they be irrigating it with water? Because we're very pesticide chemical sensitive. So that's something I wanted to find out.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they're generally not checking the water.
Wow. So that's interesting because I run chemical toxin panels on people for things like glyphosate and Roundup and pesticides. And a lot of people who are eating all organic are coming back with high pesticides. And so I go, it's either the food or it's the water that they're drinking.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the water is for the tree, you know? So, yeah, the big thing to look for, though, is getting an organic oil. But once you have an organic oil, or anything organic, was it exposed to chemicals, you know?
So organic doesn't always mean organic.
Not always, unfortunately. And that's what we were talking before we started, and kind of what sets what we've got going on kind of apart is all of our olive oil is ours or our immediate neighbors, and it all comes from one specific valley in southern Greece. The entire valley is organic, so we're not getting runoff from the fig trees down the road or from the oranges that are right, a half a mile away. Because what happens is, you might have an organic farm that's 20 acres and one plot, but right down the road, you're going to have a non-organic farm it could be a different type of tree or fruit or vegetable, and they're spraying those things on the regular.
Right. Well, it can even be like, I've seen, here's the organic farm, here's the dividing line of like 3 feet, here's the conventional farm.
Yeah.
So that's huge that the whole valley is. So this is truly where organic should be.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Well, in a perfect world, we wouldn't be spraying anything,
All right. But
but yeah, I mean, and the cool thing, I mean, the way Greece is kind of set up, it's a very mountainous, very, very, very mountainous, rugged little country. All our water is coming from the mountains. It's just kind of infinite amounts of water runoff coming from the mountains, but that's where we're getting our water from.
So there's the organic piece, and then there's
the organic piece is the first and foremost thing that we always, like I was telling you earlier, I always when I talk about olive oil, I pretend like I don't have an olive oil company, but I have the knowledge that I do. So if I were to choose an olive oil, this is the things that I would look for. And some people, might not really care, but if you care about what you're putting in your body, it's things that I think you should definitely be looking at, whether it's olive oil or anything really.
Yeah.
But
some people are asking. So Tony is our expert today on olive oil, and I invited him on also because he has a very transparent and truly authentic olive oil company. So Tony's going to share his knowledge with us. But he also makes a really good olive oil, and that's Tony's olive oil called Kasandrinos. So Susan's putting some links in for you guys. Cool. So look for the links from Suze Fleming, and that's our team member that's putting links in for you guys.
So the organic is definitely the first and foremost, but you want to make sure, there isn't pesticides in it still. We do third-party testing on every batch that we press, that we encourage anyone else to test our oil if they really want to. There's plenty of testing facilities in the States or internationally. We do it in Europe and in the US, and then post them. They're on our website under our transparency page. And we, so that's the first and foremost thing, is making sure you have a quality olive oil.
And you can't just go by there as an organic label. You got to see, did they do the third-party testing to see if this is truly chemical free, because of all these other factors we're talking about with drift and using contaminated water with pesticides and chemicals in it.
And unfortunately, this is something even, us as consumers or producers, we shouldn't have to worry about this kind of stuff, but 2021, and at the end of the day, I think the biggest problem in the whole food industry is people get their priorities a little mixed up, where profit kind of sometimes supersedes
I think I
quality.
think you're being kind and gentle, but I think that that's a big issue.
Oh,
A huge,
yeah, it's
and I appreciate your kindness and gentleness, but it's rampant.
yeah, no,
And
it
so,
definitely is. It's in every food industry, unfortunately. We could talk about apples or sardines, salmon, chicken, olive oil. It's everything, unfortunately. Um,
yeah,
that's why, you said you grew up in the country. It's like that when you grow up like that, because even in Greece, it's the same thing. We're like in little villages, and everybody grows their own chickens and their goats, and we have fig trees in the backyard. So it's like you're very attached to the food that you're eating.
right.
You know, it's all coming from your land. Where now it's like we're ordering everything online, and even though we have an online business, but you just become very detached from how that is actually made.
Right.
Um,
So we have to be even more careful as consumers
oh yeah.
that we're checking that what we're buying is truly
Mhm.
what we think we're buying.
Yeah,
Now,
definitely.
I want to touch too on histamine, Tony, and olive oil, and you taught me something very important before this. So, with the just to share for people that are new to this, with olive oil, it is often well, you see it both ways. You'll see it listed as high histamine, or you'll see it as low histamine. And what I've found is it depends on two. Well, I knew one factor. You taught me the second one. So the factor I knew is that olive oil can be slightly higher histamine, but it also will encourage our bodies to produce more of an enzyme called
Mhm.
DAO, amine oxidase, that breaks down that histamine. And so some people it can offset unless they have really low levels of that. Or I take a DAO enzyme, and then that helps a lot. But I noticed that some olive oils I just didn't feel good with. I have zero issues with your olive oil, which I love, and I actually have it sitting here. I have both of my bottles, and I had it over here because I was having some soup, vegetable soup, and I just pour this on whatever I'm having. Like I just add it to, so I added it to my soup, kind of like a finishing oil today. But then you taught me something also that was really important about the olive oil, which has to do with age. And I knew things that sit bottles can be older, but I had not thought about the full context of what you shared with me earlier. Can
Yeah,
you share with our community what we were talking about?
definitely. So, in my opinion, in the whole industry, if I were to point to one thing, what's the biggest problem? Because that's what we kind of set out to do is like, okay, what's wrong with the industry? How can we fix it? And it's the age of olive oil. I remember when I first started my company, like the first few months where we really started like, hey, this is something we want to do. Um, I was in a high-end grocery store. I'm not going to name the store, but it's prevalent in every store. And I saw a really good bottle of olive oil that I knew was a good bottle of olive oil. And I was just like looking at it, and I flipped to the back, and it said harvest date, and it was like 2.5 years prior to when I was looking at the bottle.
Wow.
Like, all right, that's a problem because this olive oil is no good.
And so it
So
had actually a very high histamine, but it's also going to have started to go rancid, which is
yeah,
inflammatory, right?
yeah, it'll start going rancid. It'll also all the things that make olive oil great, all the polyphenols, and it's degraded over time. And
So
I
you
think
lost it all. You might as well have canola oil.
essentially at the end of the day, all the positive properties that make olive oil so great are degraded with time. I think there's might be some confusion in just like the food world where, hey, it's olive oil, it's wine, they're kind of similar. The bottles kind of
Or
look the same.
or like it's a canned vegetable, so it'll last 15 years or
Yeah,
something.
and don't get me wrong, olive oil will last for a few years. That being said, it gets degraded with time. So the sooner you can have it, the better.
Well, for
Like,
us, it's so important is anytime something sits, the histamine levels go up. And
mhm,
that's going to make a big difference for those of us with these mast cell and histamine issues is we have to get things that are really fresh. So we can't do canned vegetables and
yep.
things like that or processed meats or anything like that.
Yeah, and the acidity levels going up, and that's why there was that big study a few years ago by a university that said, "Oh, all these olive oils are saying they're extra virgin, are not that we're buying off the grocery stores," and they're like, "Oh, they're all fake and frauded." And I'm like, "Well, that doesn't necessarily. If you read the report and what they said, it was like they're either fake olive oil or due to degradation over time. Because an olive oil that's an extra virgin, which is, you get that based on the acidity level of the olive oil. If it's an extra virgin today, 2 years from now, after sitting on a store shelf underneath the lights, it's not going to be an extra virgin anymore.
So it's this kind of like, it's not like they intended to mislabel it, but because it's not on the shelf so long, now it is actually mislabeled.
Yes, that bottle you've got there is extra virgin olive oil, probably has a 0.02 acidity level. If you leave that on a store shelf for 30 months, it's probably not even going to be considered an extra virgin anymore.
Yeah.
Just because, because there's a bunch of different factors. What's the temperature? What is the light? Is there light glaring down on it?
Why this is a dark bottle, or you have these completely opaque bottles.
Exactly. Those are
material, though. I just always wonder about.
It's a BPA-free lined tin.
It's got the lining.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
so
asking good questions. I'm sorry, Tony. I just wanted to remind everybody we'll do a Q&A at the end. So keep popping your questions in there, and then we will definitely get to them. So hang on for the end for our Q&A, and we have a special for you guys. We're going to tell you about. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. That's more than fine. Yeah. So age is the biggest thing. You really want to, find the freshest oil you can, and that's really what us as a company. What we said is, okay, we don't want to sell in these huge conglomerate stores that are just basically pushing volume and not really caring about the quality of what they're getting. Because I was like, I don't want to put my bottle in a store with my last name on it, and then somebody buys it in 2 years, and I'm like, oh, this isn't that good. I'm like, well, it was great 2 years ago, but so what we do now is we bring our olive oil over quarterly. We discussed this earlier. Like, it cost us as a company a little bit more. It kind of goes back to like you're kind of getting what you paid for, but you're also getting a really fresh olive oil, which makes a difference in what you're putting in your body and the taste of it. It's really it makes a difference. And that unfortunately, just due to the way our society is and the food buying chain that happens, sometimes when these big olive oil corporations sell olive oil, it might be a year from the day that olive oil was bottled till it gets to a store shelf.
Right. And you were talking about also when they're buying olive oil, because you were saying they sell more than they can produce. So they're buying all this olive oil in mass quantities and then blending it. And then you've got things that are 3 months old, 6 months old, 2 years old.
Yeah. But the biggest, just due to, this is the way it is, the biggest companies out there, I'm not going to name brand names or anything, but the really big ones, they can't come close to producing the amount of olive oil that they export out of their country. In fact, they'll bottle it in, say, Italy or California, but they imported that from a different country in most cases and blended it with their oil, maybe last year's oil, because it was cheaper for them to buy, and so you're getting a bunch of oil. And if you look at the back of a bottle, it'll say in really tiny little letters and words where the olive oil in the bottle came from. So it might say a product of California on the front, but on the back, it might say Tunisia, Israel, Morocco, Greece.
So this one says produced and bottled in Greece.
That comes from our little region.
Yeah. Okay.
We're tiny in the grand scheme of things, and that's something we would never do. I couldn't ever imagine bringing in olive oil from a different country.
Well, that's what I love about you guys, because I think when companies and I'm all in support of people. They should get paid for what they do, and they should be able to take care of the bills and their families and do what they need to do. So I don't have any trouble with companies make money. That's what companies need to do.
100%.
But at some point, companies get so big that it becomes about next quarter profits and integrity gets lost.
Yep.
And that's rampant across all kinds of industries. And I've seen that in the olive oil, and that was part of what I was uncovering. And so there was this whole piece. Well, just to recap and underscore what you said, age is really critical. And unless the harvest date is on there, you don't know the age. And if you have histamine issues, or you want these top anti-inflammatory compounds like the polyphenols and I'm going to butcher the alloprines. How do you say that word?
Yeah, alloprines.
Alloprines. Okay. Yeah. So with all of these anti-inflammatory properties that make olive oil so healthy, if you're getting something that was harvested 6 months to a year ago, that's starting to be lost. And if it's, 2
it's
years
ago, after about 18 months is
18
really
months.
Because we've tested our olive oil at different stages just to compare. Okay, yeah. We've actually done it. We do it the day we press it. We also have done it at 12-month stage, 18, 24, 36 months. So we've actually tested it all the way down the line. And we've also tested it in different conditions, like one that was left inside the dark, which is where you should always store your olive oil, by the way.
Yeah. And I'm
seeing our olive oil on kitchen counters, put it in the cabinet. It's better.
Yeah.
But we've actually left it on the counter in the sun in Vegas and then tested it as compared to the same batch, but one that was inside, and it was degraded probably about 10% more on average, with all the different polyphenols and the acidity level as compared to the one that was in the cabinet. So, but then when you compare that, and I haven't done this, but if you put it in the grocery store and those lights are on 24/7, those little things actually do make a big difference. So the main degradation of the oil generally happens around the 18-month mark from what we've seen. After 24 months, I wouldn't even bother with it. I tell people, use it to clean wood or something. It's like
histamine goes like this in foods after it's picked. It's going to go up. I'd love to find a way to do some testing of your olive oil versus something like if we could test yours, as fresh as we could get it, and then test it at a year, and then test a couple of things from the store, just to see what these histamine levels are. But from what I know about histamine in general, the earlier it's harvested, or the earlier you have it after harvest, the better, the lowest histamine is going to be. And so there are some other health benefits, like there's some definite mast cell supporting benefits of olive oil. Anything that's anti-inflammatory is going to help mast cells. And I wrote about that on our blog post. If anybody wants to find that, then we've got a blog post up that steps you through that. But can you give us some high level about what you know about some of the research on the health benefits, and particularly these high antioxidant olive oils like yours?
Yep. So one thing, and as much as I'd love to sit here and say, it's heart healthy and it, promotes brain health. I mean, there's been a million studies done on olive oil because it's been around for so long. It's, one of the fats. You get a lot of, when it comes to like a lot of studies, you get a lot of conflicting information, So what I always tell people, honestly, because I don't want to sit here and be like, I've done all these studies, is and not to like push it off on an individual consumer, but to really do your own research as far as what specifically you're looking for. Because there's a ton of studies out there that says, it helps diabetes, it helps Alzheimer's, it helps, brain health. And there's literally thousands of them. You go to PubMed and there's so much out there. And as far as what olive oil does benefit. So when it comes to like the actual science behind it, I just like to really be transparent on the industry. And if you're consuming olive oil, we'd love for you to consume ours, but to really know what to look for.
Yeah.
And, when it comes to getting the best quality stuff, whether it's ours or somebody else's, is really, I can't stress enough the freshness of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of where it's at with.
Well, that's huge. That's huge. And I actually tell everyone that we'll give you general information
Mhm.
and then you have to try everything for yourself
Yeah.
because
I mean,
everybody in our population is different and you need to check it out.
that's the other thing too, and with that too, with everybody being different, olive oil, like it's dissimilar to wine because it doesn't get better with time, but it's very different as depending on what kind of olive that olive oil comes from.
Right. There are all
And
kinds of
what
varieties.
region of the world it comes from, or even what part of an area. Like we use a Kornecki olive. It's a small little olive that is not very edible, but makes great olive oil. And it's known for having just a very high polyphenol count.
Yeah.
Um, it can taste pretty different if it's grown like a few hundred miles away. So I always like encourage people to try different olive oils when they, and find what they really like. Because at the end of the day, outside of the health benefits, it's something that tastes really good.
Yeah. Well, that's what I ran into too, because I tasted a bunch of and tested out a bunch of high antioxidant olive oils, and a lot of them were high antioxidant. I didn't feel as great with them though, which was kind of a story, but maybe it was an age thing, or maybe it was they weren't,
Yeah.
they like some of them, you told me actually that one's not organic. And so that could have gotten me. But they were intensely grassy. Like I really felt like I had just taken grass and minced it and put it in my food. And
Mm-hmm.
I tried and tried and tried, and I just I couldn't get acclimated. Or I could do it in certain dishes, but which is what I like about yours is yours has kind of a flavor profile that I can put. I can put it in a salad. I can put it in a soup. I can put it on my cassava flatbread that we've got a recipe coming out for you guys next week, and an olive oil. I love having it has to be gluten free for me, but gluten free bread with the olive oil, with the oregano and the rosemary and the salt and all the
Oh yeah.
herbs. It's
No,
just
definitely.
love that, and I can do it. It's versatile for me.
Yep. No, it's definitely. I don't know. We love it, but it's something everyone's got to kind of individually play with and see what they really like to taste the most. And like you
Yeah,
said, certain olive oils you'll use on certain dishes where others, probably go better with something else.
yeah,
Um, I've had the luxury of going to some olive oil competitions and trying many different kinds of olive oils, and it's pretty amazing how different a lot of them taste. Some will taste like straight up grass, like where others will be really spicy and peppery. So
yeah.
there's a variety out there. Um, but at the end of the day, it's all about finding what you love the most and finding what's the healthiest. And
Yeah, for
yeah.
me, it's is it healthy? Is it toxin free?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where I go. Is it
Yeah.
healthy? Is it toxin free? And then the flavor. So those were my top criteria. Well, what if we get to some questions here, Tony? We've got some great questions coming in for you, and
Sure.
love to. We had a lot of people wishing you happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, everybody. I greatly appreciate it.
And Michelle said at the very beginning she has your olive oil. She loves it.
Awesome.
So for
Thank you,
people
Michelle.
people still been jumping on, and what Tony is our olive oil expert today, and he's sharing with us in general what you want to know. Tony, also, if you want to support him, but you also want the top pick after 3 years of research is their olive oil, the Kasandrinos olive oil, and that's what Suze has been putting in for you guys if you want to check it out. And he gave us 10% off any model, which we really appreciate, Tony. Or
Yep.
if if you don't know if you tolerate olive oil or you haven't tried a truly fresh olive oil, if you've been using what's in the grocery and you want to see, can you tolerate a fresh olive oil? Then I'd get one bottle and you can get 10% off one bottle of the Kasandrinos olive oil. And then if you know you tolerate olive oil and you're looking for a really good one that is truly, truly toxin free and grown truly without the drift spray and the pesticides in the water that you have issues with organic labeling, then you can get 50% off a subscription, which is a huge deal, Tony. We're really grateful for that discount.
Yeah, we really just let me rewind on the subscription thing. So a lot of people get confused and think they have to do a subscription, and you by no means have to. We actually encourage people
Right.
to try it first, but the
Yeah.
subscription really, as a small business and someone who brings it over so often, it really helps us project, hey, this is how
Yeah.
much we need to bring over for the next quarter.
Yeah.
So that's really where once we have, because we never really had a subscription up until last year, but we had a lot of repeat buyers. So we're like, let's have the subscription, and then customers can and we're very like open to doing whatever. We offer it for every month, every 2 months, every 3 months, and you can do
Yeah.
one bottle. We have some people that order 6 bottles every 3 months.
Yeah.
We'll even do every 6 months or whatever. Just shoot us a quick email, and yeah, just it really that helps us project how much to bring over.
Well, and that's what actually a lot of small farmers are doing. That's what vegetable co-ops do. And I get a meat co-op from a local farmer where it's all pasture raised. They freeze it after slaughter, and I sign up for 6 months at a time with them because that helps them plan. And then I get a discount for doing that. But let me just show everybody here real quick so they can see what we're talking about, that they've got two options. So you've got the link that Susan's been putting in. If you want to check out the Kasandrinos Olive Oil, just click the link that Susan's putting in for you. It gives you a lot of info about their company, and then their certification and how this truly is toxin free and bypasses a lot of the issues. And then this is where it shows you the subscription first, but you have this toggle button.
Yep.
So you can get 50% off a subscription, or if you want to try one bottle, you just need to check it out and you don't know if you do okay with it, just get one bottle. And you can click the one-time purchase and then use this discount code here, and you'll get your 10% off that Tony gave us. So that's where you can find it. So you can flip between the subscribe options and the one-time purchase options there.
Yep.
Okay. Sometimes it helps people to see it.
No, definitely.
We'll jump in here, and Annalisa says she also gets your olive oil every month, so she's doing well with it. And Taylor was agreeing with the organic issues that we were talking about earlier, where they're not testing the water, and then they're not actually testing the food to see if there are pesticides in it, like you guys are third-party testing. And you said you test each batch 3 times by a third party, so you're comparing to make sure that you've got accurate. That's incredible, because most third-party testing is one time.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, we just want to one, make sure the testing is the same in different locations, because we do it in Europe and in the States. And 2, like I said, I mean, so our olive oil comes from literally our trees in our family and a few of our neighbors, and that are like right in the same village. But our last name is on that bottle. So, we take a lot of pride in what's inside of that bottle. So,
what's your reputation?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm here in the States. I try to be in Greece as much as possible, but this year is obviously put a damper on that. I wasn't able to be there and the harvest season, now that we didn't talk about that, kind of starts at the end of September and it goes through February. So we're just getting towards the end of the season this year. And I try to be there as much as possible, like literally helping pick olives and doing that whole process. But it's just we like to be sure exactly of the testing and know exactly what's in there.
So you're going back to check. Well, Chloe said, wow, this is eye-opening, good to know, but also overwhelming. So I know, Chloe, if you're a little overwhelmed, other people are too. I just wanted to distill it down to our top points, which were the biggest things with olive oil. And then, Tony, tell me if I miss anything. Biggest things with olive oil is making sure it's truly toxin-free, third-party testing. Don't just go by organic certification. Make sure it's got third-party testing for pesticides and toxins. The number 2 is the age. Check the harvest date. for the lowest histamine, in my opinion, you should be consuming it within ideally 3 to 6 months after the harvest date, but as soon as much as possible. And that's going to get you the highest antioxidants as well.
One other thing to touch on that really quick. So when somebody opens the bottle, there's a few things that degrade olive oil, air being one of them. So make sure you always tighten that bottle.
Okay, and tighten the cap down.
Yeah, tighten the cap. And once it's open, like within 3
don't just
months
do
at
that.
the latest, like don't. So even, and that's another part of the subscription program we have. We tell people only get what you can consume in a quarter, and everybody's gonna be different depending on how many people they have in their family and how much they use.
This is 6 weeks for me.
Yeah, and some people go through that in a week. Honestly, like that's generally what I do. That's what I do in the summer. I go through about 1 liter a week in the summer between me and my fiance. But everybody's gonna be different, and a lot of people like to buy in bulk and just, put it in their cabinet and leave it there for 6 months to a year. With olive oil, it's one of those things that you want to get fresh and just get more often, less amounts of it, instead of buying a lot, and not using it right away.
That's a good point. So it's better. It's actually going to be better health benefits to go ahead and get smaller bottles if you don't use a lot, or just get what you can use in that 3 or quarter. You said quarter, 3 month time frame. Yeah. That's a good point. And then Kim asked, what's the best way to store the olive oil? I think we talked about make sure you keep it out of light in the cabinet.
Cool, dark place. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if it's in the fridge or on the
I wouldn't put it in the fridge. Okay, so, and I noticed someone had asked, and we can get to that question down, it's about the fridge test. But so putting it in the refrigerator will cause condensation in the bottle, and then you get water in there, and that doesn't make for a good day. So I would not recommend putting it in the refrigerator.
Put it on the counter.
One thing you can do, though, cool little trick, if you get like an ice cube tray and put some herbs in there and put olive oil in there, put it in the freezer, and then use it down the road. That's actually pretty cool. But the condensation will degrade the oil.
Okay, so you could put it in the freezer. And I've done that with garlic, where I've roasted the garlic and I pour the olive oil on that and made little garlic cubes. Okay, and then we talked about this. This came in earlier, but just to recap, olive oil will definitely go rancid, and then it loses its anti-inflammatory properties, and then when oils really become rancid, then they are inflammatory. Yeah.
And how you can identify it, honestly, I mean, it's going to taste off, like it, and it's going to have a vinegary smell to it, So I mean, when you smell olive oil, it should smell like, and you'll notice and I always encourage people, when you get our olive oil, like compare it to whatever you have in your cabinet with smell and taste, and just knowing our olive oil, like that's what a fresh Kornacki olive oil should taste like and smell like, but it'll have a vinegary taste and smell if it's going rancid.
Okay, and I can actually tell when it's starting to lose the antioxidants. It just loses the flavor profile.
Yeah, it's milder. Yeah,
tastes dull to me.
Bland or dull.
And if it tastes dull, I won't eat it.
Yeah.
So Chloe's got I saw you posted this also, Chloe, on our other olive oil posts about that it may not be high salicylate. And I haven't seen that yet. So Chloe, could you please send me the studies? You don't have to pay for them or log in. Just send me links to the study titles. I would love to look at them. And then I'll get back to you guys about what the studies are saying on the salicylate. So thank you for digging that up. And then if you can share that with me, I'll get back to you guys on the salicylates. And does cooking reduce the histamine level? Cooking won't change histamine levels. So something to know, whether it's olive oil or other foods, cooking doesn't, like, you might be thinking, Francis, how you can pressure cook things like butternut squash and it'll reduce the lectins. It's because lectins are a type of protein, so it'll change the protein structure, but histamine won't go down with cooking. And then Shan is asking, I have lupus and Sjogren's besides being histamine intolerant. Heard that olive oil is too inflammatory. I don't know. I would definitely say that if you're getting olive oil that's going rancid, or it's lost antioxidant status, or it's not truly olive oil and it's been labeled as olive oil, but it's really things like safflower oil, if it has toxins in it, then that's going to be inflammatory. And then it depends if it's the higher antioxidant fruits. So I would just look at that a little bit more, and you might dig into it, because I think there's a little more to it. And olive oil, true olive oil, should not be inflammatory. There can be, just for people who have low DAO levels, olive oil is a little higher histamine than what we usually do in phase 1 of a low histamine diet, but then olive oil will push that DAO increase to break down the histamines for. So a lot of people, it offsets it, and I always tolerated it. Not everybody can tolerate it. And in the blog post I wrote, I talked about how to know if you should try olive oil or not. So you might just check out that blog post, Shannon. I think that'll help guide you some. Do you have any thoughts on this, Tony, before I move on?
With that question, and I'd say consult with your doctor.
That's a good,
having something.
I just wanted to check in.
Yeah.
Well, let's go with this one from Elena.
That's a good one.
Do you know any way to test olive oil?
Yes, you got to do a chemical analysis in a lab.
Yeah, because sometimes they'll add thickeners so that it'll actually will gel in the fridge too.
So here's the thing. The first question I always ask somebody when they do a fridge test, which is not accurate at all and doesn't really mean much, but and this is why. One, how long did you leave the olive oil in the fridge for? Because everybody's different, because they never talk about that. Or two, what is the temperature of your refrigerator? Because different olive oils, depending on what kind of olives were used, are going to have a different chemical makeup, and they'll coagulate at different temperatures for a longer or shorter duration of time. And there are lots of other fats that are liquid that will coagulate in the fridge. So just because something coagulates and solidifies inside the fridge does not mean that it's extra virgin olive oil.
Correct.
And different extra virgin olive oils. Like, you can even notice this if you go into like a grocery store that's really cold. I've noticed this, especially Northeast, where certain bottles will, like, some of them will turn solid, like in the store, because it's so cold. Because it really doesn't take a lot, but the only real way is honestly with a chemical analysis at a lab.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a bunch of labs that do that, but at home, there's really not.
Not too much. Well, great question there, Melena. And then Kimberly, she's a regular follower and has been with us for a long time. Kimberly's also a practitioner, and she said she loves your individual packets for travel. No restaurants have real oil, so she's excited with your oil there.
Yeah, we do the little mini bottle and the packets for that reason, for people on the go, or if you're camping or whatever. And unfortunately, back to the money thing with restaurants, and they're generally the cheapest products,
Yeah. And then Chloe's asking about the DAO release and histamine. And so, Chloe, check out our blog post, and Suze can drop that in again. We haven't emailed it out. We just got it up so that you guys could find it for today. But I go into all those mechanisms, and then it'll explain. And if you have any questions about it, then just drop me a comment in the blog, at the bottom of the blog, and we'll get back to you. Okay, I'm gonna try as many as I can. Are you still good with time, Tony?
I'm good. Yeah, okay. I'm
Thank
more
you.
than happy to answer any questions.
We don't want to take up your whole birthday.
No, that's fine. I'm good.
Michelle says she sounds like she's tried your olive oil. She says it has an herbal flavor and she loves it. And Marie's asking what kind of bread. Marie, check in. Next week we have our cassava flatbread coming out. It's what I dip the olive oil into. If you can do cassava, I love it. If you can't do cassava, but you can do rice flour, you could sub them. But we've got that, and we've got our cassava tortillas on the website if you want to check those out. And I've used that too for dipping.
Which cassava do you use?
We use Otto's because Otto's is the only,
they're the
only organic, they're unfermented. It's the lowest histamine. We're getting it retested for oxalates. It's a little higher oxalate, but it's what we've tolerated the best here. What's your shelf life? We talked about you should consume it within 18 months.
Yeah, we put back to like the regulation in the US and whatever, there's no set date you have to put on a bottle. And I've seen anywhere from like 24 to 48 months and everywhere in between. We put 24 months from when that olive oil was harvested. It's going to be good past that. It'll be edible past that. It's not like, but, we recommend doing it within a year. And 6 months at the latest from opening it for peak quality.
Okay, 6 months after opening it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's honestly, it's going to be good after that, But
but I think if we go with parameters for this audience, I would
say probably quarterly.
Yeah, use it within 3 months of opening, and we want to try to consume it within 3 to 6 months of the harvest date
harvest date itself. Yep, and that's part of bringing it over, as often as we do.
Yeah. Now, do you ship to Canada?
So we do not, but we are sold at natramarket.ca in Canada, and they do online shipping everywhere in Canada. We will probably be doing our own fulfillment and shipping in Canada within the next 6 months because we have a lot of customers up there and a lot of family up there.
Yeah. So. Okay, good. So keep an eye, Chloe. They're working on shipment and fulfillment to Canada. Also,
right now, Natural Market.
For these products that we support, and I try to find the most integrative companies, and I like to support them that have things that can help our audience and have helped me. And so if you're in other countries, there's a good service called myus.com. So it's myus.com. And they ship all over the world. So you can buy anything. You get a myus.com address, the company ships it there, and then they handle getting it to you outside the US. So those are options too for you. And
I'm really glad you just said that.
Look at that. John was asking about olive oil and histamine. We did go through that, Jonathan. So check the earlier part of the Facebook Live and check our blog post. I go way into the histamine and all the elements because it's not an easy yes, no, but it'll step you through how to know whether you might be able to do okay with it. Kim's asking, buy it in the glass or in the can? What are the pros and cons?
I don't think there's any cons to either. We've tested the olive oil in both bottle and can at different stages as well over the time, and there was zero difference whatsoever in either or. They are BPA free cans. It all just depends on preference. I mean, we have the can for the possibility that, and we do sell in some stores, but it's stores that we feel pretty confident are going to sell the olive oil quickly and not keep it for 18 months or 24 months. So when we are in stores, we use the can so that light doesn't come through it.
Yeah.
Because like all of our
it's gonna in the store. You can see some light would pass through,
and that's a very high grade dark glass, but yeah.
But even still, now I keep I have a slight preference for the glass myself, just because I'm so chemical sensitive, and there's still something. I mean, this is a non-toxic liner, but sometimes there's something in that liner. But I keep it in the cabinet, is what I do. And it's a cabinet it's not getting left open. Yeah, but the can is a good one too. And Taylor says she's going to purchase.
Awesome.
And
thank you,
Joss, I'm really glad you brought this up, Joss, because you're not alone. She said even a tiny bit of organic extra virgin olive oil can cause symptoms. Everything does. So when everything causes symptoms, that's what I specialize in, is the people who are very sensitive and are reacting to a lot of things. There's lots of people who do great with olive oil, but check out our mold toxicity blog posts and our nervous system reboot class, our mast cell nervous system reboot class. And Suze will get you some links there, Joss, and hopefully get you going there, because I know what it's like to be in that place. So just wanted you to know you're not alone there. And Miriam's asking about smaller bottles. So they're 500 milliliter bottles, which is half the size. I got the big bottle because I do a lot of olive oil, but the 500 milliliter is half this size. That's through the link that you'll see.
And we also have literally 60 milliliter bottles. They're tiny. And then we have the 500 and the 1 liter, and then a 3 liter for people that eat a lot. So the 60 milliliter is definitely the smallest we have. We're actually going to be coming out with a 250 milliliter as well in about a few months.
Right. Good. Now, we've got a number of people asking about cooking. Can you cook with your olive oil? At what heat is it safe? And I've seen stuff all over the place. Give us
exactly. That question is in the olive oil industry is essentially like talking about religion or politics. I will tell you what we do and what my family's done for generations, and people in Greece that lived for a really long time, is we cook everything in it. But that being said, we don't like cook.
You're probably not deep frying.
Yeah,
you're not deep frying.
Like baked or over a fire over there, But we're not frying in it. And if people do fry on it, I feel like it's usually a lot lower. It's not like getting put in a deep fryer like we do in the States to cook French fries and everything. Yeah. And, so with that, probably more than any other question in the olive oil world is I've seen so much conflicting data one way or the other. And it's just, it's one of those things. I cook with it.
I do if I'm cooking like
decisions.
If I'm gonna cook an egg like on a low medium, I cook with it. Or if I'm gonna cook it 350 is about the highest I cook with olive oil, and I'll put it on there. I don't do any higher heat. Do you go as high as 350 in the oven? Just your personal preference?
Me personally, I'm trying to think because I really don't use the oven that much. I usually do more grilling, and my fiance does the oven more.
Okay. I'll put it on chicken.
I think about 350, 375 maybe is the highest we go with it.
Okay.
But yeah, if I go much higher, I usually use ghee or coconut oil. But
that's what I did too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love to use this finishing. I put it on my vegetables.
Finishing, we use it a ton. I mean, like every salad has it. We use a lot of vinaigrettes with it, and then we'll mix olive oil and vinegar and honey, or all sorts of stuff. But I do use it. I would say I use it raw more than cooked. But because generally when I'm doing meats, and if it's not lamb, I'll generally use ghee. But just one of those things. It's kind of one of the personal preference when it comes to cooking.
Well, Kimberly said she subscribed. She can't wait to try it.
Awesome. Thank you, Kimberly.
Kimberly's one of our practitioners on here. And Debbie says she can't wait to try it. I want to really thank you, Tony, for taking so much of your time with it, share your expertise with us, and also your authenticity and your integrity, because when you've dealt with these health issues that we've dealt with, people have gotten taken advantage a lot of, and I've gotten taken advantage a lot of, and just to have somebody like you come on and just no pressure, just tell us the information and give us the truth, and it just means a lot. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. And if anyone has any questions, you can always reach out to us on our website. Just shoot us a contact email. It's either Effie or my sister or myself that'll answer the question, or you can DM us or instant message us, and we'll answer it.
So. Oh, that's great, Tony. We might have some other questions coming here that
sure. So I'm fine with time. So.
Okay. Yep. Well, I mean, going forward, we might have some.
Yeah. Definitely. Let me know.
This after the live, and I'd love to reach out for you.
No, definitely.
Well, and thank you all, each one of you, for being here. If you're watching live or you're watching this after the live and being part of our community, we're so appreciative of you as well. And we will be back next Monday at 2:00 Eastern. I usually welcome new people at the beginning. We're so excited about talking with Tony, I forgot. But if you're new with us today, welcome. We're really glad you're here and you're in the right place. So everybody have a wonderful week. Take good care of yourself. Lots of self-compassion, lots of gentleness, and we'll see you next week.